quit with me. Anyway, what are your 5, I don't know if we're doing, just 5 interactions with referees, Rand?
Okay. Well, usually as a player, when you're talking about referees, you can get fined. But in the great words of Marshawn Lynch, I am just here so I don't get fined.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's go with number 5. I think it's like 1980, 1981. My dad's playing for the Patriots. Referee throws a penalty flag. Back then, they used to put like a weight in it, like a fishing weight or something. Like hits my dad in the lip, slits his lip open. He has to leave the game and get a bunch of stitches. It's like, what? But that was the thing. And then you've seen it's happened to players.
Was it Orlando Brown who got hit in the eye?
Yeah, it was unfortunate, and it was a terrible play for the Cleveland Browns,
Yeah.
I believe it was. But yeah, so that as a kid, that was my real first interaction with referees.
So you hated them forever.
I didn't hate them. No, I just was like, yeah, be careful what they throw those flags, and why? There's got to be a better way, right? Like you don't need something that can hurt somebody
Sure.
when you throw it.
Okay.
So
that was number 5.
But then,
No?
5. Okay. So, in number 4, so referees come to training camp, they spend time with you, and Mike Holmgren was always yelling at the referees, always, okay? But then when they come to training camp, Mike's very charming them up, loving them up, telling us to do the same. So I remember, I think it was Gene Steratore. He comes in, great ref.
Also kind of yoked up.
And I think Ed Hockey kind of like set the tone for a
Yes.
lot of guys, and people followed. Plus, they went to like a slimmer kind of Lululemon looking like
Right.
referee uniform
Yes.
one year, and did away with I think the white pants too. But basically, he's this like Italian food connoisseur kind of guy. He's like, hey, where should I go? Tell me the restaurant. So like I was like the Yelp City Guide, Foursquare, whatever you think for like the referees, and they'd come back from training camp and be like, hey, that was great. I love that Salute in Bellevue on Main Street. What else you got for me? I'm like sending them all these places that trying to butter them up. So that's kind of how it was early in my career in Seattle.
He was, I think Gene Steratore is also a college basketball ref.
Yeah, and a great one, and he's now actually on TV.
Yeah,
and he does. I think he does a really good job.
He's the one who brought out the his index card to measure the ball.
That was him?
Yes, I like Gene Steratore.
And he got in trouble for that, and I actually thought it was a really, I thought it was really good.
I did too.
Really
I kind of like that. All right, number 3.
All right, number 3. This guy's not technically a referee. Mike Pereira. Okay, he was the referee, the head of referees, the head of officiating when when we lost the Super Bowl 40. And I don't know how much I could even tell you about this story, but we're at the Pro Bowl, and Mike Pereira is there. We had just lost the Super Bowl, and he's standing near the pool, and I'm basically like, oh man, I say to my mother, I'm like, I really kind of want to push this guy in the pool right now. It was like a cocktail hour. I had just had some anger. I kind of hadn't let it blow off yet. And my mom walks straight over to him. My mom is super sweet, right? Like, very sweet. She walks over to him, and she's like, hey, I had to throw you in the pool right now. And then she's, grabs his pocket square. He's a very nice dresser. Grabs his pocket square and is like, this should be a yellow flag because you guys like to throw yellow flag. And so anyway, I got to walk over and make sure my mom doesn't get on the internet for pushing Mike Pereira in the pool after 6 days after the Super Bowl. But we kind of had like a little heart-to-heart talk, and it was a start. It was a start. We're good now. But
are you?
It was, yeah, I think so. Okay. But we'll get to the why.
All right.
On the next one. Number
2.
Ed Hockley. Okay, so I mentioned they always bring the referees to Seattle or to the training camp beforehand. Well, who do they send the next year? Because we're hot. Mike Holmgren's hot. Everyone's still hot. Who do they send? They send Ed Hockley, their strongest, biggest, buffest, toughest referee.
Your guys aren't going to be able to fight him.
So I'm kidding, kind of. But you know what? It was really good because he's a great ref and he's very professional, and all those guys are actually really professional and really good. And one thing that he said, which is really strong, he said, the way we're doing it is basically we have an all-star crew go together and do the Super Bowl. So it's like we work best as a team. We're a unit, just like your offense is a unit. I would have much rather gone into a game back then with my wide receiver group being, say Darrell Jackson and Bobby Ingram. I would prefer that rather than you could throw me some guy that maybe is more accomplished. You could give me Marvin Harrison and Torrey Holt. I don't have chemistry with them to go win one game, to go have a 1-0 great performance. And so Ed Hockley was very honest about the fact that, hey, listen, for referees, teamwork is our number one thing we hang our hat on. And I can respect that as a player, and it kind of changed a lot about how I felt about about the whole situation. And again, really good, despite like what you might think, really good working relationship with a lot of these referees, and that was definitely that was definitely one of them. And it was an important, I think, training camp we had with him.
I always liked Mike Carey because he was also an inventor, which I thought was he was like NFL referee by day and inventor by night.
Hey, can I just quick one on Mike Carey? So he TV timeout. He runs to the bathroom one game at was Quest Field at the time. He runs to the bathroom or Quest Stadium. He runs to the field and then runs back out. It was just I was like, hey, you got to go anyway.
Very definitive calls from Mike Carey.
Nice
All right, we got a minute left here. What is the number one?
I wish I had more time for this one. Bill Levy, number one. So Bill Levy was our Super Bowl in 2006. He was our referee. We didn't have him again until Mike Holmgren was no longer the head coach. Jim Moore is the head coach. We're playing in San Fran, away game, and he's our referee. And I'm out at pregame, and he comes running up to me right away, like with kind of like tears in his eyes, and he was just like, "Hey, I wasn't my best on your Super Bowl, and I apologize for not being my best." And like at that moment for me, it was like, you know what? The heck with that, Bill. We weren't our best. We had a great season that year. We did not play our best that day. You're human. We're human. Sometimes we go into a game thinking we're ready. We sometimes we have a good day. Sometimes we don't. And we had a great conversation. And he shared some personal things that had, it was just meant a lot to me. And so the way I parent my kids now, you are not allowed to ever make an excuse about an official ever. In our house, and I really appreciate sort of the lessons that you learn through the tough times, and that certainly was a tough time not getting it done in Detroit against the Steelers. But again, that's more on us not getting it done and not doing our best, and it kind of forever changed the way I feel about just the relationship with officials, period. But for sure, who I feel like I am as a parent, and my kids who are in athletics now, that is just a non-negotiable. You are not allowed to get in the car and mention officiating ever.
But it's totally fine for the parents in youth sports to berate the officials, right? We think that's okay?
Yeah, and call out, yell at the ref, or yell at the coaches.
Yes.
And
maybe even fight them if it comes to that. That seems like
I mean, if it's hockey, sure,
that's fine.